Alright, so we are currently sitting inside the Calgary airport and we're just waiting to board our flight. Super nervous, but also super excited. Not for the flight, just more for what's to come after the flight, I guess. Super exciting. I think you guys will think this is pretty cool and happening a lot sooner than I expected. And yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. So let's dive into it. I've been talking back and forth with this guy that I found on Marketplace a little while ago. And sitting right in front of me here, I'm looking at it right now, is my, well, new to me, 1996 Acura Integra GSR. There's absolutely zero rust on the entire car. It hits VTEC hard and it's a ton of fun to drive. I've already put around 200 kilometers on the car, driving it from Kamloops to where we are here now in BC on the way back home. I wish I could have gotten a little bit of video from the interaction with the previous owner. The car was an absolutely amazing deal I could not pass up. So there's a couple little goodies on this car which I'll go over with you now. So starting at the front, it's kind of funny, but it's got damage to the front bumper. So it's a 96, but this bumper is off of a 98, so it's the facelift bumper. So that's why if you look closely, the headlights don't really look like they line up.
Now you may be wondering about the neglected title on the video, and I'll get into more of that later on. But basically this car had sat for at least around 5 years. It had been really just abandoned. Now the guy I bought it off of, he had owned it for like a couple of months, and he had done a few things like an oil change and other like minor fixes to it, but there is still a lot on this car that needs to get fixed. As you can see, the front bumper was damaged, the paint is in poor shape, it doesn't look bad on video, and the car was incredibly filthy, so it's gonna need a full detail and a full clean.
I forget what the color code is, but I'll put it on the screen. Factory paint, and it looks beautiful. It's got these aftermarket Acura wheels. I'll probably paint them white at some point, we'll see. Yeah, so going around the car, as you can see, it's really dirty right now. I don't know how well that's turning up on video, but the car is absolutely filthy at the moment. It's got a Type R style wing in the back here, the amber in the taillights here, so I'm gonna probably swap these out with my other taillights, to be honest, because I'm not a fan of the amber personally. It's got a full MagnaFlow catback exhaust. The interior is kind of messy right now, but it's fully stock. It's got, I don't know if you can see very well, it's got the blue cloth confettis, which are pretty highly sought after. But other than that, the interior is all stock, other than a aftermarket short throw shifter. I'm not sure what the brand is, but I'm going to be replacing it with a K-tuned one. Now, on top of all these little goodies, one of my favorite little things that this thing has is this guy right here. So it's got a full keyless entry system and alarm. So it's all hooked up. If I lock the car and someone kicks it or something like that, it's gonna set off this crazy alarm. And it's even wired in, so you can't even start the car if you don't have the proper keys and all this kind of stuff. It's really great anti-theft. Kind of puts me at ease with knowing that these cars are super easy to steal. All right, so I know this is kind of what a lot of you guys want to see, and that's under the hood of this beautiful beast. Now, so of course we have you can see down here, I don't know if you can see it if it's popping up video, but it's a B18 C1 GSR motor. So it is a 1.8 liter VTEC engine that puts out around 170 horsepower, give or take. And it's got headers, it's got an upgraded rad, and it's got, this is my favorite probably part of the entire engine bay, it has a genuine password JDM intake. So looks great. You know, it has a little bit of induction noises, but really just looks cool and it came with the car. So yeah, that's great. And then it's got, I believe this is a password JDM strut bar, but I'm not too sure. Now there may be a couple of things here and there that I'm missing, but all in all, this is an absolutely incredible car, super fun to drive. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's gonna happen in the future with this car. I've already really enjoyed driving it. It handles great even on stock suspension, and yeah, stick around because we're going to be doing the absolute works to this car, transferring all the parts from my previous Integra onto this one before painting it. Probably 400 kilometers left to go. So yeah, I guess I'll see you at our next stop. All right, so I'm just pulling up to my buddy Ali's house. I'm sure you guys have seen him if you've been following the vlogs a little bit. He's been in a couple of videos. He hasn't seen the car, he's seen pictures, but that's about it. So hopefully we'll get a good reaction from him. The car's absolutely filthy right now, but I mean, you still should be able to see kind of what it is, you know, get the idea.
I'm so excited. Just for a little bit, keep the swing on.
Maybe for a little bit, we'll see, we'll see.
I love the color. I know you're gonna change the color. I'm always a fan of this, like dark emerald green.
It's what is it? I think it's called Cypress Green.
It's sweet. And
I was looking it up.
Right
it's not
away,
bad.
it's like visibly, like you're not gonna have that crazy rust problem that you have.
Oh no, it's rust free completely.
That's insane.
Like I got under the car.
Yeah.
And it's like totally rust free.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
I mean, shout outs to all the people that were f***ing Logan being like, oh, your car's 90% Bondo. It was, but now this one isn't. So
this one's totally clean.
this is nice.
Yeah.
This is nice. I'm gonna get in the passenger seat and you're gonna drive me around. Let's go.
Why don't you drive it? Ali can't figure it out because he's used to it. I think you're using the wrong key there.
It might be the wrong key. How many Integra?
Yeah, it's the Honda key.
Okay, it's the Honda
He's
key.
trying to use the wrong key.
Hey, just going by logo. Okay.
Go for it.
I'm so scared. Sorry,
So it's not super loud at idle, but like when you start to drive it, then it does get loud. So it's over and back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Over and back.
So yeah, there you go.
Now I'm in reverse.
Yeah. Let me put my seatbelt on. I'm gonna need this. I regret not wearing a helmet.
Reverse.
I'm gonna turn these lights off so you can see. I don't know how well this is gonna pop up, but hopefully even the commentary will just be worthwhile.
Okay, and then I go. I've never dealt with the shifter, so pardon me here. Okay.
Well, I mean, in your car, yeah, but
We're good. Now it's just
this
like,
one has power steering compared to the other one that
Nice.
doesn't have power steering.
So, okay. I like it so far.
Nice.
Yeah, okay. I actually like the short shifter.
You do?
Now that I'm kind of familiar with the gearbox a little.
So mine rides up a lot higher.
You like those V2 guys?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is fun.
Mine comes up a lot higher, so I'm used to not having to reach as far for it. That's a big thing. I just like to look at mine more.
Yeah.
The K-Tune shifter is just really high quality, so I'm just gonna toss that in personally. But
Good call. Because your gearbox, I felt your gearbox in the Queen Tech.
yep,
That's nice. So,
it's good. This thing doesn't grind any gears at all. Like the transmission's in great shape. The cream tag would always grind into thirds. I'd always have to double clutch and it would still grind sometimes.
Yeah.
The big thing about this car that's really nice is take a look at the tack. See how high the tack revs up to before red lines?
That's,
Red line starts at 8,000 RPM. So just like, even though it's not crazy fast, being able to rev that high makes such a huge difference.
Exactly.
I found.
Another car that was able to rev that high was the S2000.
I think their S2K, like, it would go even higher,
goes to
right?
9K. It
Yeah.
goes to 9. That was crazy. The exhaust is so ratty, but I kind of love it.
I hate it so much, but
Okay,
I'm gonna change it up, so I'm not worried about it. Check it out. So it'll be further to your left.
There it is.
Yeah, lift up. There you go.
Wow,
What do you think?
that's a honker of an air intake. Holy smokes.
I know.
Okay, where's the rod? Sweet.
All right, yeah. So it's I gotta put my drink down here. Yeah. So that's an authentic Password JDM carbon fiber whale intake.
Sorry. Sorry.
I have so much bleeping out to do.
This is.
I know it's insane. That's real carbon. And then I'm pretty sure it's a Password JDM
You gotta
strut
be
bar.
keeping this.
Oh, absolutely.
gotta
Yeah,
be
absolutely. I'm
keeping
keeping
this.
that.
This is hilarious.
There's a couple other things in here that are new. You know, it's got like new battery and it's had all the fluids refreshed. But for the most part, like, it's stock. You know, it's got the couple of things in the engine bay. It's got the exhaust. But I mean, other than that, it's completely stock. It's still stock ride height. Everything's like pretty much untouched, and it's unmolested. Really, it's in really. It's pretty sweet. All right.
Great conclusion. This car's just terrible.
What do you think of the car?
You know what? It's very quick. It's very, very quick. You know, it's very fun. Once you kind of swap everything from the Cream Integra into this one, it's gonna kind of become whole. So I'm excited for tomorrow. You're gonna have, you know, the Integra exhaust, and you're not gonna stop there, right? I know you have some interior stuff to do as well. You're gonna do the energy steering wheel, different shifter, which is a good call. I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it works. It's kind of ugly. I mean, it's short, but
It's just a little ghetto.
I like mine in my other car because it comes up to like here.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like closer, and then it's also further this way as well. Yeah. How it works.
This one with this, like where it's placed when you throw it into third, you're kind of like down there, right? Whereas
yeah, it's true.
With your current one, you're just
you just kind of like push it.
Yeah, you just push it, and then it's kind of normal. So it's just going to be a little bit of a quality of life thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, you know,
and then got these ugly green lights.
I don't mind them. I don't mind it.
I hate it.
I don't mind.
I absolutely hate it. I think it's horrible. I have like white LEDs on.
White LEDs, it's worth going white LEDs for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not atrocious.
Yeah.
Like I've seen worse.
This check engine light's gonna be gone tomorrow too. Just so you guys know, it's not sticking around.
It's got rod knock.
So, and when
you heard it, it's got rod knock. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it does not have a rod knock.
Piston
Luckily.
seized, but I think that's what happens when VTEC kicks in. I think.
I don't know if I really made it that clear, but I will be painting this car green.
Yes.
I'm not promising a deadline as to when that's going to happen, but I will promise that it will happen. And yeah, so there will be another Cream Integra. It's just going to be cooler. It's going to be faster, and it's got VTEC, yo.
You think before next summer?
Oh, absolutely.
Before car season? Okay. Because car season starts like April, May.
If I could have it in time for some like summer shows, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Nice. That's doable. I mean, you've painted a car already. Kudos to you. Like, you've done it. So you kind of know what has to go on.
I have it daily as well. Like, I don't need to be driving this car. So if I just like park it and sand it down and paint it, then by all means, it works for me. Today, we're going to be installing these True Heart rear lower control arms. These are the control arms here. I have their coilovers on this car, and they're the coilovers that came off of the Cream Integra. I ran them for around 2 years, and they're a really good option. They're very affordable, and they also are pretty good quality. So if you're looking for coilovers, if you're looking for any kind of suspension stuff, go check out True Heart. They make some good products. So these control arms, open up this package here, and pull one of these guys out. They are billet aluminum. They are much bigger and thicker and just stronger than the factory ones, and they're 25% lighter, which is also really nice. These things are pretty easy to install. It's only a couple of bolts. Typically the bolts on these things can be seized on the old ones, so sometimes they can be a pain in the butt. So make sure you have WD-40, you know, maybe PB Blaster, all those things, and be prepared for a fight. All right, so we've already got the passenger side off. I'll show you how to take the driver's side off, so you'll know how to kind of get these apart. But there's kind of three main bolts. There's one that goes right here through the hub. Then there'll be one like around this area that'll go through the strut. And I'm currently installing coilovers as well. So that's why there's no strut here, but it'll go here and I'll show you later. And then there's one that'll go through the subframe right here. Now, this one was an absolute pain to get out and took a ton of work, so just be prepared for that. All right, so we got the first one here. And it's just gonna mount up back here like this. Alright, so we've got this all mounted up now. There's this bolt that goes through here. We actually replaced this with a new one. And it goes through this bushing and then bolts into the other side. And then this guy up here, got this one back through. This one, not too hard to get back in. And then on the other side, just make sure it's nice and snug. Now what we'll have to do is just get the coilover back in here, and then the coilover will go through here. Right, this guy here that's zip tied up, this is our ABS line, so we'll get this bolted back in, and then we'll also reconnect our sway bar link right here. All right, so now we're on the driver's side, and we are going to get this guy disconnected. So the coilover is in here, but it's not connected, so we don't have to undo this bolt. We just have to get this one out, which has already been out recently, so that'll be easy. And then this one here is gonna be the difficult one. And then of course, we're gonna have to disconnect our ABS lines and our sway bar link. All right, so I finally just got this bolt out here. I fought for this for probably at least half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and it was not fun. See, this car sat for like 5+ years at some point, and I think that because of that, you know, a lot of the suspension like components and bolts and whatnot that are more prone to rust on the undercarriage look like this, and that's why we don't have a super rusty car, but maybe some of these bolts underneath are a bit more of a pain in the butt to get at. Now the undercarriage is still in really good shape, of course, but just some of these bolts that are more prone to rust can be an absolute pain in the butt to get out. Now we're able to undo the rest of these, you know, some of these 10 mils and whatnot that are under here, get the lower control arm fully disconnected, and get the True Heart one in. All right, so I actually ended up using the vise to get the sway bar link out of here. Just goes into here. I mean, this top one is pretty easy to get out, but this bottom guy was pretty in there, so I thought I'd just toss in the vise, use a breaker bar, and just slowly ease its way out, and we got it out. I also wanted to give you guys a size comparison. So this is the OEM control arm, and then this is the True Heart control arm. So side by side, a lot beefier, tougher bushings, and just, yeah, a lot nicer looking. And they're bigger, but they're also lighter. So you get that, that weight reduction as well, which is really nice. Now we're gonna toss this guy in the car. So we got everything bolted up. The only downside to these is that there's nowhere to bolt down your ABS line. So really what you got to do is just run it the best way over, and then just get a couple of zip ties, run them through where the bolts would have gone, and just get it up like that, and should stay nice and out of the way. They look amazing. I'm super happy with how they look. I'm going to give them a clean. I'm looking forward to seeing how they feel on the car, if there's any noticeable differences. We repeated the same thing, of course, on the other side as well. So we got that done all up over there. And now we're just gonna put the wheel back on and drop the car back down on the ground. All right, so I'm finishing this video off the next day because it is bright out, and when I finished doing this install, it was dark out. Thought it'd be better to show you what everything looked like in the daytime when you can really properly see it. All right, so I got the car pulled out, and as you can tell, it is lowered. And if we head around to the back here, beautiful Yonaka exhaust. And if we go down, you can see them down there, and they look so good. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I'm going to be eventually getting the rear subframe brace as well. I'm super stoked with how this car has turned out. So huge shout out to True Heart for they hooked it up with a discount for the parts. I've also got the True Heart coilovers as well. So if you're looking for coilovers for cheap, something that's going to lower the car, feel good, but also handle really well, check out True Heart. They're a really good company. Today, I'm starting the process, and we're going to be prepping this car to paint it, and we're going to be painting it cream. Super excited for this. It's kind of been a long time coming, I think, and I think it's finally time, you know, to start getting that ready and start getting it ready for the summertime. First thing we gotta do though is get this thing jump started, because there is no power to the battery. So I'm gonna steal my parents' car to do this because I gotta move it out of the garage anyways, and it's got jump cables in it, so that works. In case any of you guys care, this is actually the car I learned how to drive stick on. I started driving this thing when I was 12 years old. Here are the jumper cables I need. All right, it's kind of hard to do all this and film at the same time, but I got both of them hooked up, and now we're gonna start this guy, and then we're gonna start this guy. All right, and now for the moment of truth. Is she gonna start? I didn't get on camera, but I just set off the alarm by accident. Oh, maybe not quite enough battery yet. All right, so I just readjusted the cables and hopefully now she'll start. Oh, we got power. Oh, no. Right up, just like that. Nice. All right, so while we let this guy warm up, I'm just gonna get all this snow off of it, because it's not really ideal to be bringing it into the garage when we want to keep it nice and dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so she should be warm enough so we can go ahead and get her pulled into the garage. Now, it's been a while since I've moved it, and it's on summer tires right now, and it's snowy out, so this is gonna be interesting. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully we don't have to push her. Now the fun part's gonna be getting up and into the garage, because our driveway is pretty icy. Take a little bit of speed, and oh, we're chilling. Beauty. All right, and so I guess this is kind of going to be her resting place for the next little bit. I'm going to get the garage door shut, the heater turned on, and then eventually we're going to start sanding this sucker down. Well, first we're going to start pulling it apart, and then we're going to start sanding her down. This little heater has saved me so much time. This thing, it may not look like much, but this thing was able to heat this whole garage in like -30, this little electric heater. So before I start taking anything apart, I'm actually just gonna let this garage kind of heat up. I'm going to just, you know, hopefully get the car a little bit like warmer in terms of like the exterior and whatnot, because I don't want to break stuff, you know, when I'm pulling stuff apart. A lot of these panels haven't been off for a really long time. I don't want to be breaking clips. So I'm just gonna kind of let the whole garage heat up, and it's also more comfortable for me as well. But kind of while I'm doing that, I'm gonna just kind of explain why this car is more of a resto build. Now, contrary to what this car might look like, it's actually a rebuilt title. Now, I've been under the car, on top of the car, I've been inside the car. I have not been able to find any sign of any kind of rebuild other than the paint. The paint is the original color. This is the original like factory color, so the door jambs match and everything, but it has been resprayed, and there is evidence of that in a lot of spots, as you may have seen. Right here, we've got some cracking here that's no good, and like it chips pretty easily. But then this is the big one. We had a -40 stretch for a few days, and this whole side of the quarter panel, the paint just totally cracked. It's kind of hard to see on video. Maybe if I get down like this, you can actually see how badly cracked it is. So there's all this, and this isn't an original paint job. It's resprayed, and because of it, it's just not as good. The paint's really not holding up, and there's a lot of like damage to the paint. So yeah, I'm gonna get this garage warmed up, and then I'm gonna start ripping everything apart. I'm gonna take the bumpers off, take the wing off, the taillights are gonna come off, and this like rear bumper valance, door handles, mirrors, all that kind of stuff is all gonna come off. It's gonna be sanded and painted separate from the car. Just wanna get a good finish on all of this. Right, so if this doesn't show you how poor of a job the whoever painted the car did, I don't know what will. So this is the side trim molding that typically goes on these cars. Now I've been pulling this off because first of all, I think just shaved doors look a lot better, so I'm gonna be doing that. I did that with the cream Integra, I'm gonna do it with this one. So I'm actually gonna patch all of these holes here and then paint over this and not put the molding back on. But either way, you really should take this molding off the paint because you get a better result that way. And they didn't do that. They just sprayed over top of it. And I'm starting to wonder even if they sanded a lot of the car down. And maybe that might be why this cracking is happening, is if, you know, they didn't sand the car down properly before doing it. I don't know. But either way, make sure you take your door trims off if you're gonna be painting your car. I've found something that's gonna probably make this process take a significant amount of time longer. In between the last video and now, I decided to go ahead and start sanding, and I sanded down the whole hatch. This took me 3 hours to do, and that's because this is what our paint looks like. It's super, super thick, and that's why we have this going on here. You can tell how super thick it is, and no, none of this is Bondo. That's all just paint. The paint is just that thick, and it's just taking forever to sand down because this is across the entire car. Whoever painted this car previously and the time before that did a really poor job. They didn't sand the car down properly, and they applied way too much primer and paint, and because of that, I'm having to take everything down as much as I possibly can so that we don't get more of this cracking. I want to do this properly. It's going to take a while. Now luckily, I have not found any rust or Bondo. I know a lot of people, I posted a video of this on Instagram, and a lot of people thought it was Bondo, but in actuality it's not. It's not Bondo at all, so I'm super grateful for that. Along with the starting of the sanding, I also got the corner panel trim pieces out, and I had to take apart the entire interior to do that. Took the gas door off, and I popped out the antenna and taped it up underneath. So today, I'm gonna continue the sanding process. We're gonna really just dive into it, see how far exactly we can get. I'm really hoping I can get a lot done. I went and bought 60 grit sandpaper, which is pretty aggressive for a car. But when you have this much paint to get through, you kind of have to, otherwise it's gonna take you forever. All right, so enough of me yapping away. Let's go ahead and get started sanding on this thing. I'm gonna set you guys up and we're gonna do a time lapse. So, as you guys saw in the time lapse, pretty much this whole quarter panel, other than that like little bottom piece there, is pretty much done. There's been a lot of work. I don't even know how long I've been doing this for, to be honest. I can confirm for sure, I haven't found any Bondo yet, so that's a really good sign. I can confirm for sure that like this cracking wasn't because of Bondo. Like it's thick, but there's like a thick layer of like high build primer. On the quarter panels, these spots always rust, and there's nothing. It's mint. It's like absolutely perfect. I'm really stoked on that, because if there's anywhere that's gonna rust away on this car, it's gonna be here. The car may have a lot of sanding that needs to get done, but at the same time, I haven't seen anywhere where I'd have to apply Bondo yet. There's no dents or dings anywhere on the car. The hood is in great shape. The roof is in great shape. So far, I haven't found any spots where I'd have to apply even just like a little bit of Bondo just to like smooth out a surface, which is really nice. That doesn't mean that, you know, that's the case. It's still possible to find something like that. I haven't even done half the car yet. This, I have to say though, is definitely the worst part about doing body work. It's brutal because it takes absolutely zero skill to sand down the car, but it takes a super long time. And it, honestly, when you're using this palm sander for like hours, literally nonstop, dude, your hands start to go numb. Now we're at the point where I found out what exactly makes my car a rebuilt status, likely where the damage was. I found some Bondo, and I'm going to show you exactly where I found it right now. Right here. Can you see it? No? That's okay, because I can't really tell either. The only way I can tell is by feeling it right here. And if you see kind of this kind of like yellowy green material here, it's kind of faint, but right there, that's Bondo. Now it's super thin, and you can't tell on video, but this is wavy. Like I can feel it like very clearly. This is all wavy. And there's no specific details about why the car is a rebuild. It just says that it's a rebuild. It was deemed a salvage, and then it was given a rebuilt title and was fixed. So that's my guess. I think that that's why my car is a rebuilt title. You want to see exactly why this car has a rebuilt status title. I assumed it was because of the damage that was here, and I can't see this on video. You can see a little bit of Bondo here, and you can't see it, but you can feel that this is wavy. But I don't think either of those are actually the reason. They may be a part of it, but the real reason I found was actually when I sanded down a little bit of the front on the roof. Now from a distance, everything looks normal here, but as you get closer, you can start to tell that this has a bit of a dent going on here. And as you can see, this material here is Bondo. Accompanied with that, the whole car has 3 to 4 layers of paint on it. The fenders have 4, the rest of the car has 3, but the hood, as you might be able to see here, only has 1 coat of paint on it. And so that leads me to believe that this hood has been likely replaced. And what I think probably happened with this car, at some point, likely when I was driving on the highway or something like that, this hood would have flown up, maybe because of a little bit of damage in the front, who knows? Everything's good now, so it's been repaired properly, but this hood would have flown up at some point, flipped up onto the windshield, folded over, and dented the roof right here. That's likely why this car has a brand new windshield that's not cracked at all. If you guys have owned an Integra, you would know this is not an uncommon sight to see. Luckily though, there was only a little bit of surface rust. As you can tell, all that surface rust is now completely gone. It is unfortunate that we have a little bit of Bondo here, but honestly, it can be much worse. This isn't going to affect the car in any way, having to reapply some of this. The paint is so thick, I don't think we're gonna have to apply nearly as much as there was before, because just the sheer thickness of the paint makes up for a decent amount of what this filler would have been. So that's my current prediction. Of course, the last time I told you guys why I think it's a rebuilt, I was wrong. And so it's possible I'm wrong this time too. But so far, I'm not finding any damage. Both the quarter panels are completely intact. The front end, for the most part, is pretty intact. That's really the only evidence I could find of any kind of damage. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working with right now. You guys are gonna get to see like a satisfying process of, I'm gonna start sanding down the hood. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Originally, earlier in the video, I said that that's why, like, the damage up on the roof is why I think that the car's rebuilt. I don't think that anymore. I think I know the real reason, and I'll show you that right now. All right, so as you saw in the time lapse, you know, I did the hood, I did the fender, I started on the door, and then I was like kind of working down this way, and then I was like, all right, there was kind of like a crack here that went like this, and then it kind of went like this as well. It wasn't anything serious. I thought it was just kind of similar to what it was on the other quarter panel, where just thick paint, you know, a crack, nothing bad. So I sanded it down. There is a teensy little bit of surface rust that was here. You can't see that anymore because it was super like minor, and I took it right down to bare metal, so it's not a problem. However, when I sanded down on this quarter panel, I was like, oh, she's kind of like greeny, yellowy material. That's Bondo. That is Bondo. So I'm like, okay, well, where else is it? And I sanded down right here, Bondo. Sand down up here, Bondo. Sand over here, Bondo. This whole quarter panel has got Bondo on it. And I did some more sanding. I took this is all bare metal here. And I took this whole chunk out because I was like, hey, what the heck is going on here? Because there's no rust on the car. And I checked that again. As you can see, and now I got my flash on, you can see this a lot better. So as you can see, I took this and went with metal. I took this all the way down to bare metal, all the way around here and right here. No rust anywhere on the car. It's still perfectly clean. I mean, other than, of course, you know, like the few like small surface spots underneath that I've taken care of, but like no actual rust anywhere on the car. So I'm like, hey, why the heck is this Bondo here? And then I'm like feeling this after I've taken it all the way down. And this is, as you might be able to see, this isn't straight. So what I think happened, I also looked on the inside of the car to confirm this, is this car was hit here at some point. So what would have been done, this is what I think wrote off the car originally before it was rebuilt. The quoted cost would definitely have been more than the value of the car at the time. So I think probably what happened is they just reworked the metal like as you would properly, and then they put a layer of Bondo, because I mean, when you rework like a large section of metal like this, especially if there's a lot of wrinkles and stuff, it's really difficult to get it back to like factory and make it perfect. So you put Bondo on it. That's how anyone's gonna do it. That's the proper way to do it. However, I think that this over here is overkill. I think like feeling the quarter panel, I don't think it was necessary to use as much Bondo as they did. So I don't think I'm gonna have to put this much back on. Basically what I'm gonna do is just sand all the Bondo down, keep looking at it. And what I'll have to do is just, you know, refill in some of the spots to make sure everything's nice and even. I'll guide coat the car. I'll use lacquer thinner to like check it over. There's a trick where it kind of looks like it's clear coat and you can see any imperfections in the bodywork that way. And so it's gonna be a little bit of extra work to bring this quarter panel back, but realistically, it's not anywhere as near as bad as the cream Integra was. Integra had holes, and this car does not have holes. This car doesn't have any rust. It's just some metal that's slightly uneven, which is completely fixable. Alright, so it is currently midnight and I've decided to wrap it up for the night. Here's kind of the consensus so far. The Bondo is plentiful, but it is not super thick. As you can tell here, it's not super thick. It's really all it is to do is just to smooth out the panel. And what I've found is that it looks like there's kind of a couple of different layers of it. My guess is that, I mean, as you guys have known, this car's been resprayed so many times that they probably sanded it down, but not all the way, and then just kind of covered it back up again with more Bondo. Didn't really put much work into making it nice and clean. Because this original like layer of Bondo really isn't that thick, and there's not much of it on here. So my guess is that I'm not gonna have to put as much Bondo on here as I did before. There's a lot of progress that has been made. There's a lot of progress that needs to get made. As you can see behind me here, the cars are absolutely covered in snow. It is an absolute winter wonderland right now. Now the first I'm sure you guys are all interested in is what's happening with this quarter panel here. This thing was covered in Bondo, and what I've done is I've completely sanded all of it down, right down to bare metal. There's little spots here and there that are left, but that's fine. That's gonna get taken off. Basically what happened here is I'm assuming that this car got slightly hit here at some point and this metal would have been pushed in. And what happened is this metal just got worked back out, but of course they didn't do a perfect job. As you can tell, maybe in video, you can kind of tell by the Bondo, there's a little bit of warping, there's some dents and dings along it. And so what they did is they covered it up with Bondo to fill it in. However, when this car was repainted again 2 times, they did a really poor job of redoing it. And that's why there's so much Bondo that you've seen in the previous video, is simply because they just put way too much on. Now the other piece was how the hood came up and hit the windshield previously, and it kind of dented the roof here. Now I've sanded all the way down around it, and the Bondo is really just limited to this area, and it's really not as bad as it looks. And looking at it now, it's not gonna need much filler in order to get that nice and smooth. We'll do a quick walk around to the car, but as you can tell, every single panel has been sanded down to at least the first original layer of paint. Everything's been knocked down. Today, we're gonna be priming this car. So everything has been sanded down, it's been prepped, and as you can tell, I've already primed the front part of the car. You may have noticed I primed the hatch, and today we're gonna be doing the rest of it. Now this by no means is a high quality prime job, but it will get the job done. So as you may have seen from the time lapse and from right behind me here, the car is fully primed. Now this came out way better than I was expecting. I'm really stoked on it, and I'm even more stoked to get paint on this thing. I was a little worried about, panels not being perfect because, this car is old and it is a rebuild, so it's not perfect, but for what it is, it came out absolutely amazing. Primer is done all the way around the car, and there's only a few pieces left that need to get primed. Today, we're gonna be painting this thing. I'm super excited to start the paint process on this car. It's been a long time coming, and I'm super stoked. The garage door is currently shut, but over the last few days, we've been working on turning the garage into a paint booth, which we'll show you shortly. But of course, there's a little bit more that we've got to do to this car. As you may see, the glass is still all exposed, the front end's exposed, the wheels and all that, everything's still exposed. So we're gonna have to mask everything off. But before we do that, we're gonna do a quick wet sand to get this car fully ready to paint. It's pretty simple. I've got my spray bottle here, got a little bit of 1000 grit sandpaper, and we're just gonna go over the whole car and wet sand the entire thing. Alright, so as you guys can see, we've got the car completely masked off all the way around, and we're currently hanging up a bunch of the other parts that need to get painted, and we're just a few minutes away from painting. We're super close, super stoked, and yeah, I guess we'll see how this turns out. So the whole car's been wet sanded, masked off, and we've also used a degreaser on the entire car and all the bits that are getting painted so that it comes out with a good finish. Huge thank you to Neil as well, because he's helping me out with this process. I couldn't do it without him. So, thank you, Neil.
I'm hungry. When's pizza coming?
So as you may have seen, I'm fully kitted up. Walter White mode is activated, and the car actually now has a full 3 or 4 coats of paint actually completely on it. And in the meantime, I went and I put on the first layer of clear. Now it's coming out really awesome. I would walk you through and tell you about everything that's going on like in the garage, but you won't be able to hear me with this thing on. And there's too many fumes in the paint booth to actually be able to talk or walk around in there without this thing on. So I'm just gonna kind of show you some clips while I'm in there, and maybe put some music over it or something. But yeah, the paint went down really well. I'm super happy with how it's turning out, and now I just gotta hope I don't get any runs in the clear coat. To anyone that is looking to paint their own car by themselves, I would highly recommend against doing it in a garage, especially the garage that you use to sand down and prime the car, just because it gets real dirty, and you really don't want a lot of dust and debris in the room that you're going to be painting in. So that's why I'd recommend against it. However, we did clean this garage out incredibly well, and we masked off the walls and everything, as you may have seen in the videos. So we're hoping for a real good turnout. Now I'm expecting, maybe a little bit of dust here and there. So far it's looking real good, but I am expecting to have to do a really good cut and polish on the car in order to get the finish I really want. But without any further ado, I'm gonna walk in there. I'm gonna kind of show you guys what it's looking like so far. right, so clear coat number 2 is now done, and I'm just gonna show you guys what it looks like coming out of this garage. So it might be hard to tell, but it's not just hazy because it's dark in there. It's hazy because it's full of paint fumes. They're only like a couple bucks, so I'd highly recommend picking up. Good old meth cooking suit. All right, just like that, my friends, the car is done. Now I'm gonna show you some videos of kind of what it's looking like right now. It came out amazing. It came out absolutely amazing. I'm super stoked with the results. And I honestly could not have asked for anything better, especially out of a garage paint job. Of course, with any amateur paint job, you know, there may be a few imperfections here and there, but realistically, there's not anything that a cut and polish should clean up. And that makes me really happy. I've noticed at 1 or 2 points throughout the video that there's no rear bumper that got painted, and that is on purpose. So this Integra is a 1996, so it's a pre-facelift, but I want to do a facelift front end swap and a rear end swap as well. So it's already has the front end swap on it, but I wanted to be able to use the facelift rear bumper. And the facelift rear bumper that I have, it just so happens to be on the Cream Integra, the previous one, the first generation of it, if you will. And it is already painted the exact same color. So in case you're wondering, this paint is 1 of 1. It is a custom mix. But the perks of having the paint being absolutely the exact same is that I will be able to run my old rear bumper on the new car without having to have had to respray it. Now, if I did respray it, I just wouldn't have had the room in the garage to do so. So that's why I chose, just to keep it as it was. This is our final result. Check it out. It is fully dry now, and it's ready for us to put it back together again. Lots of stuff still needs to go on this thing, so it's gonna be a little bit of a process, but we're gonna start off by getting in the car completely unmasked, and then yeah, we're just gonna start putting parts back on. I'm super excited for this. I haven't driven this car in a couple of months, and I'm really looking forward to getting this thing back on the road today. Might as well start with the wheels. Bring these back out, expose them a little bit. Here they are. Now the wheels themselves, like the paint's not in the greatest shape in the world, but we will be repainting these white. So we're gonna do that hopefully within the next week or so. We'll see if we have the time to do that. But yeah, so this isn't permanent, but I think it does look good. The kind of bronze on the cream does look good in my opinion. So the whole car is now unmasked. It's looking amazing. I'm super stoked. And now we just got to start getting all these bits onto the car. There's just a comparison. This is the old one. This is the one that got wrecked, and this is the new one. The paint is identical, and I'm super stoked on that. And I'm super stoked on that because this rear bumper is actually going to be coming off of this car and going onto that one over there. So now we're just going to be pulling parts and putting stuff onto this car and making it pretty again. Alrighty, and just like that, the car is fully put together, and it's absolutely unreal seeing this in person. I'll do a little bit of a walk around here. Now the fitment in the front, not perfect. It's a little bit inside, you know, it's about a finger gap between the wheel and the fender there, but I do have some small spaces, I think they're like 7 or 9 millimeter. That's gonna be going on the front here. So that should bring the wheel out and have it looking really good. Still got to figure out the front bumper fitment with the hood, but I mean, for a first go, it looks really good. The clear signals on the cream, I think, looks absolutely amazing. I'm stoked for these wheels to be white.
I think it'll really all look good together. Continuing our walk around, I'm debating doing these headlights chrome. I like the dark look, but I think chrome could look a lot better too, especially with the white or like chrome signals as well. Window trim is back on, and it looks great. These door handles were a pain in the butt to get in there, but we did it. So the mirrors are good. It's a gas door. It's so funny story with this gas door actually. So this is the gas door that actually came off of this car. However, just with how it got sprayed, it didn't quite get the same amount of paint as the rest of the car did. So the match actually was a little bit off, and the colors didn't really seem to line up at all. But I did have the gas door from this car. So as you can see, this one doesn't have a gas door anymore. And I put it on here. Perfect match, because like I said in a previous video, I may have mentioned it in this one as well, the color code between these two cars, identical. So it's a custom color that I mixed, and just so happens it actually did come out perfect. So for example, that gas door came off of this car, and this rear bumper is also from this car. Now it looks a little bit different, but I'm sure it's just with a little bit of being exposed to the sun. Should look the exact same. On video it looks identical as well, so it's not that noticeable of a difference. I'm debating keeping this wing. If I don't like this wing, I'll swap it out for this hatch and put this hatch that doesn't have a wing on it. That way I can you know, have one of each. But I'm kind of digging the wing look. I'm kind of liking it. I don't know, I'm still indifferent. I do love the look of a wingless tag though, so we may be taking that off. Otherwise, the interior still needs to get fully put back together, and it has to have a deep clean. There's a few like small things here and there that need to get done, but otherwise, for the most part, the car is finished. You may have noticed that the Acura badges are not on the car currently. Don't worry, I have plenty of Acura badges lying around for these cars. I just didn't have the time to do it today. That will be going on soon. Actually, it'll likely be going on tomorrow. Other than that, let's take this car out and go for a little bit of a drive. Today I'm going to be installing a new part that I got from Trueheart, and it's going to help tie my rear end suspension all together and look really cool. And what I've got here is a rear subframe brace. It looks just like this guy right here, and it's going to be going down under here and tying my control arms together. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it and get started. We installed these lower control arms, and basically our subframe brace is going to be bolting up all along here and connecting these two guys together. All right, so we've got both of our lower control arm bolts out of our subframe now. So now I think we just got to figure out getting this stuff all disconnected and pulled off. That way we can put the subframe brace on, and instead of this bolting to the subframe, I think it bolts directly onto the brace itself. Alrighty, and then roughly 5 minutes later, we've got everything unbolted. Now we're gonna grab this guy, mock it up, and make sure everything fits nicely. Alright, and just like that, we've got this thing bolted up in its place. Now I'm not gonna lie, this install was easy, but it was also difficult in the fact that I didn't know where the heck stuff was supposed to bolt in. I had to unbolt one screw but not the other on my ABS lines. And this guy doesn't even have a top bolt that's supposed to bolt into, just the bottom one. I think that's probably just because Trueheart is expecting you to buy their sway bar. Overall though, it looks absolutely amazing. It'll look even better once I get a new sway bar in here. But for the meantime, it looks great. Especially when we take a step back and look at it all tied together, especially with the Yonaka exhaust. Shout out to Yonaka. It all flows really well, and I'm excited to see how it's gonna look. Pretty happy with how this turned out. Considering the not understanding exactly where everything goes, it did still all go together pretty easily, and I had this fully installed in about an hour. That includes a lot of bolts that were being really annoying as well. I've got a box with some new parts in it. You know, as you may see by what it says on the box, I've got myself some new headlights for me here, and I've got this package from Bosla as well. So these are Bosla's color changing headlights, LED bulbs. We're gonna be installing these today and checking them out. Now, if you've been following the channel for a little bit of time, you will know that before I had this Integra, I had a previous one that was the same color. and I had some different headlights on it, and they were chrome halo headlights, and I really liked how they looked. And ever since I've had this car, I've always wanted to get those headlights again, and that's exactly what I've got in this box. Without any further ado, let's open up this box and see what's inside. All right, let's take a closer look at these guys. So as you can kind of see through the plastic here, they got a nice halo ring in them, and they're nice and chrome, as opposed to these ones, which are like a black housing. Now these are OEM headlights, but they've got a black housing in them that was done aftermarket, custom. I'm not a fan of it. They just kind of came with my original Integra. I swapped these headlights on them when I did my full facelift conversion because this car is a 96. I'm stoked to see how these are gonna look on the car. Let's crack these suckers open. All right, so now we've got both of our headlights pulled out. We're gonna have to pop the hood and start taking this front bumper off so we can get the old ones out and the new ones in. Got our bolts undone on the front. Should just be able to slide this guy off now. Just like that, our bumper is disconnected, and now we can get at these headlights. Just a couple of 10 mils here, pop these suckers off, and there should be one down there as well. All right, so both the headlights are out, as you can see. Now we're gonna be tossing the two new ones in, and hopefully wiring should be pretty straightforward. Now I know what you're saying, this bash bar does not look great. I'm fully aware. I actually have a brand new one that's in new condition. That's gonna be going on. Everything will be sorted out. That's why I'm pretty sure if you've seen, my hood fitment isn't the perfect, it's not the worst, it's also not the best because of this bash bar. And that will be getting fixed this winter when I pull everything apart to turbo this car. Without any further ado, let's toss these new headlights in and see how it looks. All right, and that's the first side in. Looks good. Now, the way that these are situated, now these headlights aren't from Bosla, just the bulbs are from Bosla, but there's a whole bunch of mess with this. But I think actually swapping to the Bosla lights are actually gonna make this whole install process easier, because the way it comes is you're supposed to actually splice in the wires for the halos themselves. But I think I'll make it a lot easier by putting it in with these LEDs. So we'll leave that for now. We'll get everything buttoned up so we can see how it looks. And then after, I'll go in and I'll install the LEDs and show you what I mean by that. All right, and just like that, we got both of them loosely buttoned up. We'll do some adjusting later, but let's pull this protective plastic off and see what's underneath. Look at that, looks amazing. Yeah, we'll pull these off and then I get this bumper kind of roughly mounted back up and see how it all looks together. All right, and just like that, we've got the bumper mounted back up, headlights all in place, and they look absolutely phenomenal. Don't worry, my hood is popped. That's not what my actual bumper gap looks like, but I think it looks absolutely amazing. I'm super, super stoked. And it really feels like I got my first Integra back almost. It's the same headlights I had, and it was kind of the last thing I felt like I needed to do in order to bring back the look of the old Integra. And that's exactly what it did. I'm super happy with it. I think it looks absolutely phenomenal, and it also kind of brings back some old memories as well. So without any further ado, let's jump into installing these Bosla headlights and get everything wired up and see how they look. All right, and just like that, the first bulb is in on the driver's side. Now it was pretty difficult to get it sorted, but that's because these headlights aren't OEM, and so they have a different bulb size than what's factory. So I had to do a little bit of tinkering to get these to fit, but Bosla did send me ones that fit for these headlights. So these plug in great, just getting them situated in the car, that's the difficult part. Got our headlights installed and fully working. So our outside two are the ones that we got from Bosla, and our inside two are the ones that came from the kit. Now these inside two are high beams. Those you actually aren't going to see those very often, but the outside two are the ones you're going to really see.
but it is a little too bright right now, so we'll come back at night and check these out. Overall though, even just from what I can see right now, I'm super stoked how these turned out, and definitely think they're making a really big difference on the car. Without any further ado, let's jump to night and see what they look like in the dark. All right, and just like that, it is nighttime, nice and dark, and as you can see, I've got the headlights on. They're nice and bright, large spread, and they look absolutely amazing.